Okay, so we have got Thomas Westbrook, and he has a juicy
that?
one. Although I think Hannah can say he has a juicy one. So, boom, boom.
I don't know if I've heard this one.
So, on the note of what you just said, this totally happened when I was a minor.
Oh God!
Well, don't say that.
He has not. He did not have sex when he was a minor.
I did. So I feel like it's kind of like when you watch Big Mouth, and it's like, sure, the show is about kids, but it's about like your embarrassing experiences that like we all learn as we go through puberty and like, you know, bumble our way through like sexual education.
That's a really good point.
My background was incredibly ultra conservative religious, and like my sex education basically consisted of like my dad saying, it's beautiful in the confines of marriage, but sometimes there's this horrible abomination where people do it outside of that, and it makes God sad. And so I remember trying, like, obviously as a kid with hormones and stuff going through puberty, like, you're curious, like, what's underneath the clothes and stuff. And so, like, I discovered really early on, living overseas, that Turkish TV, because like we would get Turkish TV stations and Russian TV stations and various like broadcasts from all over, didn't necessarily have the same regulations that American TV does. And so like they would show nudity, and they'd show shows with like, you know, movies with boobs and sex scenes and stuff, especially after like midnight. And so one night I was staying up late to watch the World Cup. And, you know, my parents were like, oh, yeah, you'll probably be up late because, you know, the time zone difference and stuff. It was like 2 a.m. there and stuff. So I'm watching the World Cup, and the game ends, and then I'm flipping through the stations or through the channels. And I stumble across this movie that has like boobs. And I was like, oh, my God. And like I watched it a little bit more, and I was like, there's actual boobs on TV here? Like, what? And I found this sex scene where it was in slow motion, and I like from the angle, I couldn't tell that the guy was moving and thrusting, but I literally thought, just like Tangel, that like sex was, you know, when a man and a woman love each other very much, he puts his penis in her vagina, and, you know, sperm comes out, and there's a baby every single time, and you only really do it for procreation. And I had no idea that there was like thrusting involved at this time. Like I learned that later, but like, I just see slow motion, the boobs just like waving in like this, you know, motion that I like, part of me was like, is that like demonic? Is that what happens? Is it supposed to be like that? Is it like when you put your penis, like you stick your dick inside of a woman and it just makes her boobs like flap up and down like a waterbed while she's lying on her back? I'm talking like, you know, big double D boobs that are just like going in, and I couldn't really tell that it was slow motion. I just saw them like slowly like waving up and down. It was like the weirdest fucking thing. But I just thought that like that must be what sex is like, no one told me about the boob thing. Like I knew about the whole penis thing, but like the slow motion like waterbed flowing boobage was like a brand new concept to me. And it wasn't until like a while later, because I had dial-up at the time. So even if I like, you know, went to porn sites and stuff, all you would get is like, you know, it'd take 5 minutes for like line by line all of the pixels to show up like one still image. Like it wasn't until a lot later that like, you know, you got any kind of video or high def video or anything.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, I totally get where Tangel's coming from.
And back in my day, you know, we had to like, we'd put on one of those like broken up porn stations where the video was all a complete mess, but you could occasionally hear some of the action. And once in a while you'd see like just a little clip of something. It'd be like, oh yes, like that was my access. Yeah, like, and then eventually once like the internet started coming around, it was like you get 4 to like 8 second clips. So you just have to watch those on replay over and over again. But that's all you have.
And these like super pixelated 240p garbage that.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and so I remember also going online and like I just learned that apparently you can find nudity on the internet, and I was like so sheltered that the thought of seeing nudity at all was just like, oh my God. And like it didn't even matter to me at first if it was like male or female nudity. It was just like the thought of it was so like taboo and exciting that like people take their clothes off. Like, this is so bad. This is so like, I feel so evil for looking at this stuff. But it was like, I would just type in like totally naked women in like Google and I would get a search result. And I remember the first search results I stumbled across, they were talking about how it was free because at the time, the concept of porn being free was like a relatively new thing. It was like usually you had to pay for it and it was behind a paywall. And so they would say, totally free, totally naked women. And I thought that it was saying that the women themselves were like liberated from societal standards. I'm like, oh, that's what freedom looks like.
They're free. It is, though, if you want it to be. And now you know that
a while later.
Now you know that it takes a whole lot. Oh my God, we're talking over each other. I'm sorry. Just come upstairs. No, it takes a whole lot to get the boobies to do the special dance. They don't just do that with penis insertion.
Yeah, it takes work. But yeah, no, I remember getting caught though relatively early on. Like my parents apparently like discovered I didn't really know how to like clear all of like I think I cleared my history but not the cache or something, and like my dad figured out that I had gone to some adult website and he installed nanny software on the computer to basically prevent me from seeing stuff. But what I found really quickly was that with like it's amazing how trying to get around like nanny bots teaches you how to basically become a computer hacker overnight, like when you're a raging hormone puberty boy. And
yeah,
I learned really quickly like all the ins and outs of like, you know, VPNs and proxies and shit. But like what I discovered was that LimeWire at the time, which was like really big, I was using it to download music software. And of course I could see the logs of this nanny software, Covenant Eyes, and all that showed up when I went on LimeWire was like LimeWire encrypted file. And I was like, fuck, like it can't tell what I'm watching. And so I discovered that there was porn on LimeWire, and it'd take like hours and hours and hours to download like a 10-second, like 240p video file. But I mean, that's how I got around it. So,
damn.
But I'll let you guys have the rest of your show. Thanks for letting me call in.
Thanks, Thomas.
Absolutely.
Nice
Thank you for calling. Thanks, babe.
Take care.
Bye.
Love you.